Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar on Singapore Bridge Loans. I am Madel Tan, and I head the Singapore office at Global Mortgage Group. So without further ado, let's begin the webinar. So today we are talking about Singapore bridging loans, and I'd just like to start off by giving an overview of the company. So Global Mortgage Group was actually founded in 2018 in Singapore by two of our co-founders, Robert Chadwick and Donald Clip. So we are based and headquartered in Singapore, but we have offices all over the world. So we are backed by two multinational banks and venture capital firms in Asia. So globally, we actually provide mortgages for high net worth property investors in the US, Canada, UK, UAE, Australia, and in Southeast Asia as well. But in Singapore, we only provide asset-backed bridging loans, which is the topic for today. I'll share more about the key features of Singapore bridge loans, how you may use them. So, these short-term, hassle-free bridge loans are used for various reasons. Just to give you a bit of a context, we've funded more than 400 million last year. So it was quite a good year for us. So I think, when we speak to clients, we realize something as we entered the market. We realized that most of our clients actually do not have access to alternative lending. People tend to associate banks with financing, but actually there are many types of lenders that, clients have not heard of, private lenders such as family offices, for example, wholesale lenders, institutional funds, credit funds. So, these private lenders are fairly flexible, so based on the client's requirements, we can customize solutions, bespoke solutions for the client's exact needs and requirements. So some of the countries that we offer a regular mortgage would be, the countries listed above. So apart from Singapore, actually US is our strength. We have an wholly owned subsidiary called American Mortgages, where we are a licensed lender. So, the loans start from 150,000 to 150 million. So, we have actually created quite a few loan programs focusing on foreign nationals as well as expats. If you would like more information, feel free to drop us a message on the chat box, and my colleague can record your contact details to provide more details on the US business. But, just to give you a bit of, a case study of a real life scenario. So many of our clients actually have children that go to uni in the US, and, they are looking to buy an apartment for them to live in while they go to school. However, without US credit, it's almost impossible to get a mortgage. So, we have actually created a loan program where, with a student visa, they can qualify for a loan using the estimated rental income. So, these will help to build US credit for the child while the parents service the loan. And, when the child graduates from uni, they can actually convert into a regular mortgage. So apart from regular mortgages, we do offer bridge loans for not just Singapore, US, Canada, UK, etc. So, as mentioned, these bridge loans are short-term. We're looking at 12 to 24 months. So usually clients would utilize such bridge loans when they require the funds fairly quickly, and they need high LTV. So last year, We had a client that was presented with an opportunity to purchase a hotel, an off-market deal, below market price. So, after he liquidated his stocks, consolidated funds from his family, he still required 12 million to complete the acquisition. And, banks work slightly slower than us. So, clients actually come to us for speed, right? So this client actually came to us with his real estate, and we took a bridge loan and managed to complete the acquisition by unlocking some of the equity for him, and he managed to complete the acquisition within 30 days. So what is bridge loan? The definition of a bridge loan is actually asset-backed lending is a type of gap financing arrangement wherein the borrower gets access to short-term loans to meet immediate liquidity requirements. So, some of the key features would be high LTV. We can do up to 75%. I think the highest we ever did on a good class bungalow was actually 82% on a prime location. So there are no TDSR, no age, LTV restrictions, and we can fund fairly quickly. So if it's unencumbered, we can fund as quick as a week. And we value our clients' information and data. So please be rest assured that these are private and confidential due to PDPA regulations. So the types of clients that qualify, most of our clients are high net worth individuals, accredited investors. So how would you qualify as an accredited investor? So typically an accredited investor would be a net worth of 2 million, or if you have 300,000 of annual income. We also see a lot of business owners. So, even if the property is in your name, you can borrow under your company if it's a local entity. However, if you do not meet these requirements, we do have options for non-AIs, non-accredited investors, and non-business owners as well. Please feel free to reach out to us for more information. Our lenders typically lend on these real estate, condos, landed houses, shop houses have been really popular recently, as the values have really appreciated in the recent years. Good class bungalows as well. Commercial units such as office units, as well as retail units, for example, shopping malls. So, we can actually group all of them together as well to do a portfolio loan. So, I'd like to share some of the, case studies we've held in the past year. Some of our clients actually require different reasons. So, I'd like to share more about that. So, we had a Singaporean doctor client who wanted to expand his medical practice, but needed working capital for such expansion. So, if you own multiple properties in Singapore, for example, if you own more than 3 properties in Singapore, the banks actually cap your LTV at 30 to 40%. So this doctor needed some cash out. So we did 1 year tenor that managed to cash out about 30%, 35% for his medical expansion. So, after a year when his business picked up, he was able to redeem the loan. So during COVID times especially, we have a lot of business owners where, they were required to pay off their suppliers, but, their clients were actually behind in payment. So this client, needed a short-term liquidity. And so we actually pledged his unencumbered shop house at 60%, wrote up some interest, and that really kind of eased the financial strain of his business while waiting for his clients to actually pay him. So another example would be decoupling. So we actually seen quite a few cases last year where, the couple actually decoupled during COVID times, when property prices were low, interest rates were low, and last year especially, there was an increase of interest rates, and they were struggling to actually pay off their mortgage. So especially those couples that have purchased their property within 3 years, they had to pay off the SSD, the seller stamp duty, within 3 years. So we structured a bridge loan that was interest servicing only. So it bought them some time. We rolled up some interest. So it gave them time to sell their property and also to wait off that 3 years seller period as well. So to summarize, most of our clients that utilize such bridge loans would be, for example, they are wanting to sell their property, for example, at the right price, but they require liquidity now. So this would be applicable, especially for the bigger size landed houses or even GCBs, where the children have actually moved out and they are looking to downsize, but they are waiting for the right buyer. And they take a bridge loan to extract some liquidity, some equity, and do some investments. So also we have clients wanting to take advantage of time-sensitive investment opportunities, like I mentioned earlier, to complete an acquisition of an off-market listing, for example, or it could be to buy out a business competitor or a business partner. We see a lot of business owners that require working capital for their businesses as well. Also, we do see some cases where clients want to extend their lease for their properties. For example, a shop house where SLA will require for them to do some kind of A&A works. But in order to extend their lease, so they need the funds to actually to do the A&A work. So they take a bridge loan and to fund the A&A in order to extend the lease. So in the last slide, I've also mentioned clients facing high interest rates and cannot service the mortgage. So while waiting to sell, they take a bridge loan and can buy them some time, and so that their property is not foreclosed on. And of course, last but not least, clients with TDSR, age or LTV restrictions. We do see a lot of older clients that are unable to qualify for a bank loan. So this is not an issue for us. So I'd like to share more about our latest press coverage. So last year, we actually funded, I think the largest loan that we did on a Singapore bridge loan was a 38.5 million GCP. So this loan was done for a businessman where he needed to acquire, I think, buy out his business partner. Okay, and that's it. So my colleague will put my email and number in the chat box, but feel free to scan this QR code and it will connect to my WhatsApp. This webinar and transcript will also be sent to your email address. So I'll just leave the screen for a moment before we head to the Q&A section. All right, so you can take a screenshot if possible. Okay, and I'm going to check out the Q&A. Okay, so we have a couple of questions. The first question would be, how long does it take to fund? So typically, right, if it's unencumbered, we can fund in less than a week. But if it's with an existing bank, for example, a local bank, it would take about a month usually because the delay is with the bank side. But if you do have liquidity needs, just let us know. We'll try to structure as quick as possible and work with both existing and the new lender. All right. Next question. What are the closing costs? Okay, that's a good question. We get that a lot. A lot of clients ask us. So it's market practice to for the borrower to bond the legal fees, valuation fees, as well as the fire insurance. So these fees are similar to when you get a bank loan as well. So depending on the size of the loan and the property, these fees would vary, and also which lender we use depending on whoever is on their panel of the law firm. So, if you would like a more definitive range, feel free to drop me a text and give me, your address and the loan size, and I can give you a range of the closing costs. Next question. I'm 74 years old. Can I still qualify for a loan? Of course. So as I mentioned earlier, we have a lot of older clients as well with a portfolio of real estate in Singapore. So usually these lenders would require for you to get a medical certificate. You can just go to a GP to ask for a letter where they say, you're healthy, you are mentally sound. It's fairly simple. So no issues for that. The next question. What is the minimum loan amount to qualify? So for Singapore bridge loan, the minimum loan amount would be 1 million. All right, and then we can lend up to 100 million. For any amounts that are above 100 million, happy to take a look. We can discuss further in detail if you do have any of such deals. Next question. What is the standard interest rate applicable to such bridging loans? Okay, so rates start from 8.5%. So these are interest servicing only. So there is no principal repayment. Meaning you do a bullet repayment during redemption. So let's just say if the tenor is 12 months, at the end of 12 months, you do a bullet repayment and you service the interest just on a monthly basis. Next question. The property must be resi, commercial property. So we can use both resi and commercial, definitely. But of course, usually if the commercial property is leasehold, then we still have to do some indicative valuation and check with the lenders. Typically, they would prefer freehold, but definitely we can help with commercial property. Residential preferred, especially freehold. But we can also do leasehold condos, for example, as well. How do you get around TDSR? Okay, that's a good question. Because these are private loans where, it's a lender to a accredited investor. So these do not fall under TDSR. So, but of course, this is a short-term solution and not to replace a bank loan. So usually we will ask the clients for a clear exit before placing them in such a bridge loan. So it could be a sale of property, for example. It could be overseas funds maturing, or they have a fixed deposit maturing. So that's how they will exit. So clear exit is important before we get into such a bridge loan. I'm 68 years old. I can no longer get a bank mortgage. Do I still qualify for your loans? I will sell the property in 12 months. Okay, that's a similar question to what I've answered earlier. Definitely, 68 years old, we have a lot of clients looking to downgrade and they're looking to sell. So you definitely be able to qualify for the loan because these asset-backed loans are based on the property. So we get, for example, 70% of the valuation and you can sell your property, take your time to sell your property in 12 months. What is the payment term? So basically, it's interest servicing only. So you just service the interest on a monthly basis and do a bullet repayment at the end. May I know what's the usual interest rate? So like I mentioned earlier, the rate is about, it starts from 8.5%. And depending on, the type of deal. For example, if you need the money very soon in like 3 days, then of course the rate will go up, right? Feel free to drop me a text and then I can give you a more indicative rate, but rates start from 8.5% interest servicing only. Can I get a loan with high loan to value even though I own 4 landed properties in my own name? Bank loans don't work due to limitations. Yeah, so we have a lot of clients like that. Usually the banks will cap the LTV at 40% if you have more than like 4 properties, or they will require you to have AUM, and they say, okay, I can lend you 10 million, but you need to put 10 million asset under management with the bank. So this is not an issue for us, definitely something that we can help. The interest only loan will last for how long? So typically, right, this is not to replace a bank loan. The tenor will range from 12 to 24. Sometimes we can drag a bit longer, but it will be dependent on the lender, but typically 12 to 24 months. Okay, next question. I want to finance a private condo in Florida, valued about 700,000. Would you consider to finance that, or do you start with loans not below 1 million? So in Florida, definitely it's a US loan. We can assist for that. Currently, we are a licensed lender in the US. So, if you could drop me your, email address or your contact details, we can probably give you more details on the US financing. So definitely we can help for 700,000 property, not an issue for the US. Do you offer loans longer than a year? So yes, but typically it would be 24 to 36 months max. Next question. Can you lend on strata title commercial? Yes, definitely we can. Next question. Oh, we have quite a few, so I'll just quickly run through them. I own a shop house. What LTV can you do on this? How fast can I get the money? There is no debt. So if there is no debt, we can finance fairly quickly. After signing, we can fund in a week time. LTV would be 70-75%. Feel free to WhatsApp me, and then we can discuss further. Can bridge loan be done with overseas property? Certainly, of course. Definitely, we can assist for overseas property. Usually, our lenders are onshore. So, for example, if your property is in the UK, we will use a UK lender. Next question. You mentioned 1 to 2 weeks of processing time. Would that be sufficient for charge pledge documents to be prepared? So, usually, when it's 1 to 2 weeks, right? It's usually the property is unencumbered. So there will be sufficient time. If of course, if there is a charge on the property, then it will take longer than a week because we need to discharge the property. 8.5% is the starting rate. What typically qualify for that? So the client's profile, the property as well. So if you could reach out to me, then I can assess fairly quickly on the rates. Can you repeat the closing cost again? So the closing cost would consist of the valuation, the legal fees, as well as the fire insurance. So these are very similar to a bank loan as well. So depending on the loan size, depending on the property size, the cost would vary. I can give you a more firm quote range if you could provide the address, the size of the property, and the loan size as well. Are you licensed in Singapore by MAS? Okay, so in Singapore, you do not need to be licensed to be a broker. But in the US, as we are a lender, lending off our own balance sheet, we are licensed in the US. But in Singapore, you do not require a license to be a broker. But our lenders are all MAS regulated. They're regulated by Ministry of Law. So hope that answers your question. How fast can you close a Singapore loan? So the fastest we ever did for a loan was actually 48 hours. But typically, I would say unencumbered about a week would be quite okay. If there is existing debt on the property, it would be about a month because the delay is usually at the bank side. All right. Okay. What is the minimum loan amount for US property and loan to value? So, the minimum loan amount for US property would be 150,000. I think the minimum down payment would be 25%. And 25% for expats. And I think if you are a foreign national, I think the minimum down payment would be 30%. Okay, the last question. I think that's it for today. Oh, one more question. What happens if, okay, this is the last question. What happens if the borrower cannot repay in one bullet shot? Is there flexibility to extend? Okay, so if there's good repayment conduct, for example, you've been servicing your monthly interest on a timely basis, usually the lender will extend. All right. If there's enough equity, we can also assist to put this with another lender if your existing lender does not wish to extend. But most of the time, if you have good payment conduct, they will extend. Okay, I think that's the last question for today. If you do have any other questions, feel free to actually drop me a text message or email me. I think my colleague has put my email address and my handphone number on the chat box. So, thank you everyone for joining. We typically host a webinar every fortnight. So, stay tuned to the next webinar. And okay, last question. Just got one last question. What is the loan to value for a Singapore bridging loan, and is my income and credit needed? So typically, the loan to value for a Singapore bridge loan would be 70 to 75% LTV max, and you will need to submit your NOA, your notice of assessment and credit report, but these are, although requirements are not a factor. So for example, even if you have, adverse credit history previously, not to worry. Even if you are retired and do not have any income, or you're not paying any Singapore income tax because you have overseas income, not an issue as well. Although we do need to submit these documents, these are not factors in qualifying for a loan. All right. Okay, this is the last question for real. Okay, and I think we will end this webinar. For any other questions, feel free to drop me an email or WhatsApp. Thank you everyone for joining. My name is Madel Tan and hope to see you next time. Bye.